Hello, everyone. Today is an exciting session. We are excited to introduce the team. To start the session, hopefully you are having a very good morning in Europe and you are having a very good day in Asia and a good evening in Australia and New Zealand. Today is a crucial step towards the book that we are all collectively going to write. And for that, we warmly welcome you for this fourth cross-faculty dialogue session where we are going to introduce book chapter themes, template insights, and also we will have some editorial guidelines. First of all, very quickly, the program agenda. So, of course, we want to remind everyone because some of you were able to join the sessions live, some of you couldn't. So, we want to make sure that everyone is in the up to date. So, we want to give you some program reminder and also share the progress and key milestones. Then the exciting part, book chapter theming and themes. We can tell you it was a very complicated process. So hopefully everyone will be happy after we announce the theme, and we will also explain how we did the theming so that you were aware of how you were part of a team, how you became a part of a team. Then we will hear from three editors today. And we will also hear from our department director to set the collaborative spirit. And then we will basically get to know each other. You will get to know your team members, and also we will do a bit of ice breaking. Hopefully we'll have some time for question and answer, and then we will share what to expect next, and then we'll close the session. So before we move forward, this is very important because today we want to we will assign you to a specific team that you are going to be part of to work on the book chapters. For that, this is really, really important that you name yourself. I see on my screen that most of you are already renamed. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. First name, last name, and then country. If you haven't done so, please. I see that some of you have your name but not country yet. Please help us with that because it's easy for us to allocate you in a breakout room because sometimes, we have our names in terms of country order, so it's easy to spot you. So we will give you a few more seconds for this. Okay, I think most of you are already done. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Now, where are we? Congratulations, you have successfully completed 4 sessions. For us, it feels like it has been ages. We have been meeting you pretty much every day, but actually just 4 sessions. But it feels like a lot because, you are very active and a lot of interesting conversations are happening. So we are very grateful for that. So today we are here for the 4th cross-faculty dialogue session, 5th session in a row, and we are here to basically introduce your teams and some guidelines, guiding insights, and then also share what's the next step. So here you can see this is the overview of what includes in terms of the official program. So we have the cross-faculty sessions and your independent collaboration phase and then on-site conference. Allow me to very quickly go through each of these steps. So after today, we have our next session where I will focus more on team building. Initially, we wanted to do a little bit of work progress sharing. However, we realized that some of the colleagues need more time since we are still waiting for a few more fellows to sign up. If they don't come back very soon, we will consider it as that they dropped out. But there were some issues with when we had to merge some chapter, drop some chapters. So we need to give them some time for that, especially the book chapter leads. So we will mainly focus on team building and also setting the collaboration spirit, and also hopefully, if any team progress, some work progress sharing. We will do only a little bit of ice breaking and getting to know each other. So basically introduction, but not in-depth team discussion. And then after this, we will start with the independent collaboration phase. What does it mean? So during this time, between July to mid-September, so that's the first step of this phase, where you will have regular team meetings by the book chapter lead. And we don't want to impose because the way a team wants to work, it's up to them. So for example, as a team, if you decide to meet every day, every week or twice every week, or have bi-monthly meetings, that's totally up to you. Depends on your progress and your goal. So that's for the book chapter to decide and then have those meetings sorted. And for those of you who are co-authoring, we highly request you to be cooperative towards book chapter lead, and also make sure that you are actively participating. And then, so that's the first part, right? Then the next part is, so July, August, so about 2.5 months later. So we hope that during these 2.5 months, you have ample time to have a first draft ready. And during this time, we are aiming for a 10-minute pitch. However, please bear with us because we are also improving our processes along the way, since this is the first time we are doing this book. We might need to have 2 sessions. However, if we can manage within 1 session, we will update you about the time. So that's going to be taking place on 18th of September. We have already sent you the calendar invite. Please book your calendar, pencil it down. And if you have any issues, let us know in advance so that we can also explore and see how we can support you and your team. And then the goal of this session is to basically help you get feedback from your peers so that you can improve your first draft for the second draft submission. So that's the second part of this independent phase. Now, the third part. After mid-September, now you are again independently working before the on-site conference. That's going to take place in November, right? So based on the peer feedback you receive, you will have to then work on your final draft, and then you will be submitting the final draft during the on-site conference. So what are we going to do during the on-site conference? During the on-site conference, it's going to take place in around mid-November, and our apologies that we are still figuring out the dates. For now, you can pencil down mid-November, but the moment we know, we will update everyone. Here, of course, we will have some sessions where you'll have opportunities to further knowledge building from experts as well as from your peers. And you'll, for the first time after working virtually, meet each other in person. So that will be exciting. And then you'll have your book chapter presentations, the work that you have done, so major work progress sharing, and then peer feedback. And then, of course, you'll have to prepare to submit your final manuscript that will be due in January. One of our editor will speak more about it to explain the steps. And of course, once you receive the draft, the editors need time to review and edit. So between January and May, we will do that. And the publication is planned to launch in May 2026 when we kick off the next edition of the Faculty Collaboration Fellowship. And then another exciting announcement here. Some of you know about our school collaboration tracks work, and some of our outstanding alumni are independently implementing projects called EmpowerEd, Educators Empowering Educators. So depending on how they progress with their project, we will invite some of these outstanding projects led by teachers for teachers to this conference so that you also get to see some of these teachers' work. So now, how do we do the teaming? It involved a lot of processes and a lot of thinking. So first of all, of course, the first thing was we looked at the number of signups. So when we were looking at how many people signed up, we all had to highlight the book chapter leads, because if their book chapter is going to be selected, we cannot take them for your team, right? So we had to first exclude that. And then we had to, so for example, let's say for your book chapter, 4 fellows signed up, and including you, all of you are book chapter leads, which means that we had to drop it because there is no additional fellows to be co-author, right? Everyone is kind of allocated as a book chapter leads. So that was one step. The next one, of course, as the perspectives are going to be Asia-Europe driven, we had to ensure that in every team, if not 2 Asians, 2 Europeans, at least there is 1 Asian and 1 European fellow. So for that, we had to make sure that, in your team, so if you signed up for a team where you were the only Asian fellow, then we had to keep you in that team. So that's how we did that as well. Same goes for the Europeans. And there were some chapters that we had to merge and drop, unfortunately. Having said that, we want to acknowledge everyone's effort because all the chapters were great, and we highly appreciate the effort our book chapter leads put into the process. So please don't be disappointed. This is just part of the process. So depending on that, let's say if you signed up for a chapter that was dropped, or all the chapters that you have signed up for are dropped, then we had to assign you to a team that made the most sense. But that was only applicable for 1 or 2 fellows. Pretty much everybody got chapters that was in their preference list. And currently we have 9 teams of, so we have 12 book chapters, 12 final chapters. And for that we have 9 teams of, so sorry, my apologies. Actually, it's 9 teams of 4, not 12, and 3 teams of 3. I will edit that later before we share the slide. So here, one thing that we want to highlight, some of the fellows who are still coming back to us, we will allocate them most probably to the teams of 3, because the teams of 4 are already solid. With that, we are now excited to let you know what are the teams. And the order, team number 1, 2, 3, it's not in terms of a strength or quality or anything. It's just a operational, a step for us to easily coordinate. There is no ranking or anything like that. So first, we had to merge 2 chapters because there were not enough signups, and also there were some mutual signups between these 2 chapters. So for this, we have Professor Tim Lutz and from Austria, University College of Teacher Education, Tyrol, and together with him we have Zhang Tao, assistant professor from the Chinese University of Hong Kong, China. And then from the same university, we have Jiangpeng Tang. So that's the first team. Congratulations to the team. Then next, we have Tina Raisa from Finland. I'm not going to save time, mention the institutions, but here it's here for your reference. And then we have Michael Hogan from Ireland, Adriana Jaftik from Croatia, and then Nahid Bhuiya from Bangladesh. And next we have Professor, we have Jan Pawlowski from Germany, Tor from Norway, Javiera Athenas from the UK, and Long Kai Wu from China. Congratulations to this team as well. And then next we have Seng Chi Tan from Singapore, Laura Zabo from Hungary, Sirin Chakamanon from Thailand, and also Sutanit Wetu from Thailand. One thing that we would like to mention, we tried not to put 2 countries together, but because of the sign up, we just couldn't independently move, right? We had to allocate fellows where we can. So for some teams, you will see that there are 2 countries, especially for China, because we have China and UK. Then next we have Francisco Velas from Spain, Guangling Chen from Australia, David Huang from Singapore, and Panayota Ayunoa from Cyprus. Then we have next team where we have Tam Nguyen from Vietnam, John Carlo Ramos from Philippines, On Pawi Kunporn Pen from Thailand, and Patrick Paul Huber from Austria. Then we have Matthew Shi from China, and Xiangdong Wu from China as well. And we have Mark Johnson from UK. Here, Mark, everyone who signed up, they were book chapter leads, so we couldn't really proceed with the chapter, but the chapter was, your idea was great. Just wanted to mention that. And we have Pirju Motus from Estonia. Then we have next chapter. We have Theory Jo from Luxembourg, Zhang Wen from UK, and Michaela Milada from Slovakia. Then next team, we have Imogen Caseborn from the UK, Zhongling P from China, Ana Mota from Portugal, and Shengbing Li from China. Then we have Beng Shou Min from Myanmar, Omar from Malta, Aaron Jet Tambel from the Philippines, and then we have Theon Chan from Cambodia. Then we have Velislava Hillman from the UK for this team, Stefan Powell from New Zealand, and Matteo Estrocetti from Finland. Then the last team, we have Xianggen Hu from China, Yi Zhang from China, and then Gorgo Vida from Hungary, and Ujita Deshmukh from India. If you haven't seen your names here, it means that either you have not signed up or you were a book chapter lead and didn't fill out the sign up form. As a result, your name is not mentioned here. In this case, please reach out to us as soon as possible and also complete the sign up form. We will still, between now and next week, try to allocate you to a team. So with that, a big congratulations to our teams, and we are really looking forward to seeing the work that you will be doing over the next few months. And now we are going to hear from the editors, and also you will be meeting the editors. Unfortunately, one of the editors couldn't be here today for an urgent meeting. However, you will meet her during the next meetings. So here we have 5 editors for the book, starting with Professor Li Wen. Professor Li Wen is our from the Beijing Normal University. She's also our host for the on-site conference as well as the program. So she's taking a big lead on collaborating with the editor with the Springer Nature and UNU and a lot of technical guidelines and the overarching guidelines. So for that, we are very grateful. And then we have Professor Wayne Holmes, who is currently the UNESCO Chair in Ethics of AI in Education, based at International Research Center for Artificial Intelligence in Slovenia, and also Professor of Critical Studies in AI in Education in University College London, UK. Professor Holmes will mainly overlook and guide our fellows in terms of how we approach the topic, which he will talk a bit more about that, and also make sure that the way we are driving the conversation forward is going towards the right direction, and we're not, sharing anything that makes the innovation more riskier. So you will hear from him more. Then we have Professor Margus Pedaste, who is the head of an Institute of Education, University of Tartu in Estonia. And Professor Pedaste, he will focus more about the research, focus on your research topic, theoretical framework, research framework, as well as the guidance he had in terms of how not to take this as just as a collaboration for book chapter production, but also long-term partnerships. Then we have Professor Miki Sugimura, who is the UNESCO Chair for Human Rights, Peace and Sustainable Development, and also President of Sophia University, Japan. And Professor Miki will mainly ensure that the conversation that we are putting together contributes to Sustainable Development Goals. And then me. So my main job is to actually oversee all the operational stuff and also make sure that the work progress for all the book chapters are happening on time. So you'll be hearing from me a lot, each of you, each of the teams, and I will keep in close touch with all the teams and also make sure that, in each steps, things are moving forward and also things are moving to the right direction. And with that, it's my pleasure to invite one of our editors, Professor Wayne Holmes, to share his remarks and also to share his guidelines for you to kick off this journey. Professor Holmes, the floor is yours.
And thank you so much, Jyoti. It's lovely to be part of this without any question. And as it says on the screen, I'm going to go through these various points just to summarize if you like, the attitude that we're taking in this project. So the first point there, why is this collaborative publication important? Well, most of you are aware, I am sure, that AI and education, and it's been researched for 50 plus years. It's been around a long time. But mostly that's involved developing and incrementally improving various AI tools. The reality is that little research into the wider issues, such as the impact of the tools on children's developing cognition, or the impact on the classroom ecosystem, or the impact on the environment, and so on. And the reality is that around the world, including many of your countries, decisions are being made all the time about how education systems should be using AI. And mostly, when they make those decisions, the policymakers are listening to industry or the advocate developers or the early adopters. And rarely do they listen to more nuanced or critical voices. And that's partly because we are pretty much invisible. Um, Lots of work going on around the world, but not very much in the public space. So that's a key reason why this book is so important, because we want to become more visible and we want governments around the world to think about the issues that we raise when they're making their decisions. So, how are we going to approach this AI and education topic? Well, the key thing from my perspective, and I think the perspective of ASEF and the editors, is we want to represent students and teachers. And we want to cut through a lot of the nonsense. We want to examine what's actually happening. What are the real impacts? Who's making all the money? And how are young people really being affected by these technologies? So if you want to report just how you're developing and enhancing a tool, then probably we need to go in a slightly different direction. I'm not arguing for a second that you have to adopt my type of critical approach. Many of you know me, you know that criticality is the thing that's at my heart. But you don't have to do that. We're not saying you have to do that because we are welcoming in this book a broad range of research. However, we do have a caveat that your work in your chapter, it needs to be both balanced and well evidenced. So, if you want to write that AI is the future of education, that is fine. But so long as you also set out an opposing position, and so long as you give evidence for your claims. So, moving on then, how we think the book should be put together and the kind of ways in which we should address things. So, personally, I've looked at lots of reports over the years about AI in education, and I've lost track how many times I've read things like AI brings many opportunities, but also some challenges. The point is that what are those opportunities? And what evidence is that they are both real and realizable? Now, I could give you lots of evidence, and I know some of you can as well, for the challenges, but we rarely see any evidence of the so-called opportunities. A point I frequently make in my talks is that today there is no independent evidence at scale for the effectiveness, the safety, and the positive impact of AI in education. Now, if you disagree with it, that's absolutely fine, but you need to provide the evidence that my claim lacks. Now, something else that's important for you to avoid in this book, and we will be quite critical as we review the chapters, is we need to avoid perpetuating all the AI myths that we see so often, but also the anthropomorphizing of AI, treating AI as if it's like another human. Because our job in this book is to demythologize. So, from my perspective, it's really important that you avoid phrases like AI powered. That's because AI powers nothing. That's electricity's job. So instead use AI enabled or AI mediated. Another one is AI solution. You can't call it a solution unless there's a clear problem and evidence that the tool or approach solves that problem. So instead, don't fall prey to this industry speak and refer to it as an AI tool or an AI application. And the third one that annoys me immensely, that we see all the time, particularly with generative AI, is the word hallucination. We're constantly being told that these systems hallucinate. They don't, right? To hallucinate, you need a consciousness, and no AI systems has a consciousness. So they do not hallucinate. Instead, they generate nonsense. Or if you're me, you would say they generate bull, and I'll allow you to finish that sentence yourself. Okay, so finally, then moving on to how can you make this whole thing work for you? Now, the reality is that we all like to be in our comfort zone, which often means working with people we're familiar with, we know how they work, we know how they tick, and we've already worked with them many times before. But that's not how it has to be. Now, as some of you know, because you've been involved, I've been working on a paper about AI in education. We've got around 50 authors for that, and a handbook, and that has around 65 authors. And I have to say that working in this collaborative way with people from around the world has been one of the most rewarding experiences of my academic life. And I should both also point out that both have emerged from my work with ASEF in the past. So working with people we don't know is not necessarily easy, and you do need to keep things moving forwards. But I have to tell you, I'm so proud of our paper and our book. And I think that this book, this collaborative approach that we're taking, bringing people together from Asia and Europe, it's likely to be a similar opportunity for all of us. So I don't really have any good advice to how you can make this setting work for you. But just to say that from my perspective, it's really worth the effort. And I'm sure that together we're going to end up with an excellent and an influential book. Okay, so that's it from me. I just want to wish everyone lots of luck as we move forward and happy to do any questions.
Thank you so much, Professor Holmes, for setting the scene for approaching the topic. Do we have any questions for Professor Holmes? Because he needs to leave early. So in case you have any questions for him, you can also put on the chat box, or you can simply ask here. I see that Mark raised his hand. Yes, please, Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Jyoti. I think it's interesting as to what really we are trying to do here. And I suppose this is just echoing the comment that I made in the chat. What's coming out are the constraints on thought in education. It's not some sort of aggregate of knowledge about education. Now those are two different things, and I think that really needs to be thought about. It's the difference between identifying the box that you're sitting in and actually trying to think outside the box.
Would you like to respond to that, Wayne?
I don't disagree with that. I think that this is an opportunity for us to explore both. You know, Mark would agree that we don't have answers to these. These are issues that have become increasingly important, increasingly obvious over recent months and probably years. And this is an opportunity for us to engage with these really quite tricky
Yeah.
topics.
It's just I was at an AI conference here in Manchester this week, and Neil Lawrence was here, who's, as you probably know, a professor of AI in Cambridge, and he went on a bit of a rant about how ridiculous the AI situation is, and where are the specifically designed AI solutions for education, health, economy, and so on. And you know, they're not there. So what do we think we're talking about? That would be his question.
In response to that, I think, as I say, there's been 50 years of research. So I agree
And
that
where
we
have we
don't.
got? What good has that done?
So say again.
What good has that done, the 50 years
Oh,
of research?
I think this is the point, Mark. So this is, this kind of questions you're raising should inform your chapter and your work with your
But I'm not
colleagues.
doing a chapter now, so
You are.
this is a bit bonkers.
Mark, you were part of a team, so
No,
you
yeah, but that's not what I wanted to do, and so I'm a bit upset, really. I was upset last week because I found myself under attack in my session, and um, and actually, you know, I asked people what people were doing creatively, and there was no response apart from one person. I just
Mark,
it's not very
can
good.
I interrupt? I completely appreciate your position. Can I suggest we take this offline and have a one-to-one
Well,
conversation?
yeah.
but no, because I mean, I won't be the only person who's feeling like this, actually.
And Mark, we will, why don't we have a separate chat and see how we can support you better? Because our goal here is to, empower all of you and also give you the space to do the work that you are passionate about doing.
Yeah,
So please, yes,
but
let's have a
there's
chat.
something wrong with this. There's something wrong with this process, and I don't know. Maybe I'm on my own here, but it is a bit X factor. And what do you get from that process?
We will definitely have a chat and then support you. Please don't
Maybe,
worry.
maybe.
Yes, we have got your back. No worries at all. Okay. I see that Veli raised her hand.
Um, I wrote it actually in the chat, but because I have to leave, I just wanted to mention I liked the idea what Professor Holmes just raised, creating even a list of things, these sticky words and sticky statements that we throw out there and that we use in paper writing and even in media, or in the marketing narrative of many of the representatives of the industry, and kind of create a left column, right column, and say, okay, what are the sticky words that are catching up so fast, and what is the actual translation, more realistic, more honest terms. I don't know if it could be part of a preamble of the book, or just as a kind of little guideline for us to have across the book. So they have to be some kind of connective tissue across all the different chapters, because we're so many and there are so many different angles that we're looking at and different problems that we will be addressing with each of the chapters. So I thought these wordings make sense for us to unpack and to say, do we really mean that AI powered? What does that mean exactly? I thought this was a good idea in terms of practicality of how we're going to articulate our own problems and address our own problems in each chapter. Thank you.
Anything you would like to add to that, Wayne?
No, I think that's
Okay.
that's all good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you, Vali. And also for everyone's reference, today we are here to mainly listen and then grasp, these insights, but we will share a written template with all these insights and guidance. Yes. So with that, now it's my pleasure to invite our next editor, Professor Margus Pedaste from Institute of Education, University of Tartu, Estonia. Professor Pedaste, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jyoti. Thank you all. First, I thank all the contributors of the book already, so that you have made your first attempt to contribute to the book what we are developing together. And my main recommendations in developing your abstracts further towards full chapters are three, actually. And those are quite general, but I believe that this could be helpful for all of us. So first, problem, second, theory, and third, focus. And this is just based on my reading of your abstracts. What I think about the problem, my advice for all of you is that please start in the introduction of the chapter by clear definition of the problem you address. And what is a problem? In my understanding, it is a gap in existing knowledge base that needs to be filled in. And there are two important measures, gap and need. Thus, you need to define what we do not know yet and why we need to know this. How this knowledge would be beneficial in the field, in theory and or in practice. And both of those aspects are also that kind of aspects that need some evidence. How do you know that we have this gap? And how do you know that there is a need for the outcome you plan to provide in your chapter? So some teams planned to make a literature review or other type of evidence-based review. Even in this case, you should start from a problem statement. Systematic literature review is not just overview of what has been done by other researchers, but it is just yet another method to solve a research problem. So trust me that this is one of the major challenges in many publications published in our community. I have been for 8 years an associated editor of one of the journal that is with one of the highest impact factors in the area of education and educational research, namely Educational Research Review. And in this context, one of the main reasons reviewers suggest and editors come to a conclusion to reject the paper is that the research problem is not clearly defined. It does not add something valuable to existing knowledge or is even completely missing. Therefore, I really encourage you to make it better. Let's do this book a high quality, excellent book. Second, theory. When I was reading the abstracts, 17 of them, then I saw that in some cases, the theoretical framework was already mentioned at the level of abstract. That was very good, very helpful for me to understand where do you situate your work. In some others, the viewpoint was more practical, without clear link to a specific theory. I suggest you to make this link. If not in the abstract, then in the elaborated chapter. Those articles that already bring in this theoretical framework, those are, in my mind, good examples for the others as well. And please do not rely only on educational practice, but think about a theoretical framework relevant for addressing the problem, the same research problem that I mentioned under the first topic. It might come from educational psychology to explain human behavior, e.g. motivation or engagement. It might come from the family of instructional design theories or somewhere else, but please link your topics with existing theories and maybe a synthesis of them. Perhaps you could also contribute with some new ideas to develop existing theories further. For example, perhaps existing learning theories can be or should be improved by addressing the current learning and teaching process where AI is meaningfully integrated in the process. The third topic where I would like to focus is clear focus of the chapter. For now, we have 17 chapters. You don't have to cover every topic in your particular chapter. Let's do this together with the book. One research problem and one theoretical framework in the center of the chapter you write is, in my understanding, sufficient. Yes, you can situate your topic in a broader context, but it is important to justify why you bring one problem and one framework in the focus and then keep it in the focus throughout the chapter. You do not need to cover the whole world about AI in education in your chapter or the whole world of different educational theories. So in the end, we will have definitely more than 10 chapters that cover different aspects. Together, we will have a great set of topics. Thus, one research problem, maybe one or two research questions, if the research questions are relevant in your chapter, and one kind of theoretical framework. In exceptional cases, 2 or 3, if your aim is to make a synthesis of them to come out with a bit new framework, for example. And finally, one main message coming out from your chapter. Thus, please pay attention on the research problem, theoretical framework, and limited focus of your chapters. We as editors start reading your draft chapters and come to you with questions and recommendations regarding these aspects. Please foresee our reactions, try to evaluate your chapters against these expectations, and take this advice as much as you can into account. In addition, please work towards long-term partnership with the authors of your chapter and with the institutions involved. This diversity in the teams helps you to strengthen those chapters. All of us will have a bit different viewpoint, understanding about the research problems, understanding about the value, the meaningfulness of different research problems. All of us will have a bit different background in understanding different theoretical frameworks. We have worked in different in the context of different frameworks, so that you can benefit from this diversity you have in your team. Make the best of this. So, to conclude, let's make this book together a masterpiece, and I wish you all the best in your studies and writing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Margus Pedast, for sharing such insightful remarks. And we also want to share that we agree with you in terms of, your views towards diversity. That's the beauty of the work that we do here at the Asia Europe Foundation. And it's for us very meaningful to see, from such collaboration, both at the faculty and our school collaboration track, how our participants build long-term partnership and move forward with amazing education initiatives that empower more teachers, learners, and scholars beyond this network. So with that, thank you so much. Now we are going to hear from our next editor, Professor Li Wen. My apologies, Professor Li Wen is currently the professor at the School of Future of Education at Beijing Normal University, China. So we will hear from her about the publication format, key requirements, word, length, citation requirement, etc., and also, some of her advice about effectively working with each other. So we have a few slides. Professor Li Wen, the floor is yours.
Hello, hi. Thank you, George. Yeah, so thank you, Wang and Margaret has already talked a lot of why it's so important, this book. So I'm just trying to first say a little bit about the background of this book, as you all know. So this book will be one of the book from the book theory on AI and sustainable development. As one mentioned earlier, I think from what I know, this will be the only one on AI in education. So that's why it's so important, and the publisher is Springer Nature. The audience, so as we probably discussed as well, it will be educators, the policymakers, and the researchers, and also I think it will be some developers, designers as well. So of course, not all our chapter will. We all have a different focus about audience, but then when you write this chapter, have your audience in mind. We will try to make the book as open access after discussed with the editor. And also the book will be peer reviewed. We will nominate 2 reviewers, one from Asia, one from Europe. And the book will be promoted both by publisher and UNU on their own channels. So next, it's more about the requirements for the book chapters, very detailed. The book will be about 110,000 words, including everything. So we imagine we will have 12 to 13 chapters. So which means each chapter will have 8,000 to 10,000 words. So this again is for everything. And the abstract will be 200 or 300 words. So the document, we'd like you to use Microsoft Word documents and APA 7's editing reference styles. And the editor especially mentioned that no AI generated images in our chapter. I think probably there was some question about that as well. And also any AI generated content must be clearly disclosed. And also this, if there are any other questions, people can ask me. This is about a timeline. I think George has already mentioned for the when you're going to submit the different round of the draft. So I don't need to say anymore. I just want to say when when people come to Zhuhai, we will do the our own peer review process as well. So I think mainly it's later will be for people have any questions that we may not be able to answer today, then we can discuss with editor and then get back to you next week. So if anything I mentioned earlier, there's some not very clear, or you have any other further question about your chapter, about the style, anything that you could ask us now, or email Joy or me, so we can take this further to discuss with Springer. Okay, I hope you all enjoying the process. Okay.
Thank you so much, Lee. Thank you for all your hard work to coordinate with UNU and the series editor to make this happen. We really, really appreciate all that you have been doing to support this process. Now, I think some fellows joined a bit late, so allow me to spend some time to really just copy paste the team slides so that you know who are a part of your teams. So we want to first share a little bit about how we work at the Asia Europe Foundation. In our work, we work with 51 Asian and European countries. And as you can see, all these countries have different socioeconomic background, different intercultural background, different types of, education background and education scenarios in terms of access to digital tools, access to resources, access to training. Our goal is to mutually support both colleagues from Asia and Europe, from across all these member countries. And for that reason, you will find here, colleagues with different types of expertise or different types of education scenarios. For that reason, this is a very unique and unusual journey for you. And how can you make the best out of it? And what is the collective impact we are trying to create? So here you will see that some of you are coming with enough expertise to empower others. And some of you are already leading book chapters, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you are coming as an expert. It's just that your chapter got selected. And there are other fellows who are coming here to learn from some expert fellows like some of you. Some of you have been working in the field of AI and education for a very long time. Some of the other fellows have just started learning about this topic. So the goal here is to bring you together in a way where you can empower one another. If you know more, you help the other fellows to learn more. And if you are learning at this stage of learning, then you get to learn from the fellows who have already done significant work in this area. So for that reason, we highly encourage you to really, get to know each other, not just in terms of the work that you are doing, but in terms of how does your work routine looks like? What does it involve? So that's what we will do in the breakout room in a bit. But before that, we really, really encourage you to get to know each other better. And as we have just already started facing some challenges during this teaming process, of course, in this kind of process, there are things that are positive, that are empowering, that are impactful, but there are also processes that are not very, sometimes you might feel a bit upset because, processes are not going the way you have expected or hoped for. So in this scenario, we really request you to have your kind understanding and patience with us. Know that the whole team, together with our advisors, our partners, and our editors, our goal is to empower you. Our goal is to support you. So if you ever feel not supported or empowered in any way, please reach out to us. We will try our best to create the platform for you that hopefully can help you achieve your goal. So we are always here to listen. Feel free to reach out. Feel free to write, and then we will take your feedback very seriously. So yes, please, for that, for challenges and opportunities, please have your patience and understanding. And also with that, in all of our work, whether the work with teachers, expert like yourself, or our young leaders, one thing that we really highlight is the intercultural and multidisciplinary teamwork. Because, of course, the way we work in Singapore, for example, Singapore is known for being very efficient. And often we see that whenever we work with a Singaporean colleague, I think we can always differentiate that the way efficiency work here, right? But for some other countries, they might have a different way. So all of those intercultural aspects, I hope that, you will gain some new insights, you will contribute to that new insights, and then all of you will walk out of this program with those kind of unique elements. And in addition to intercultural element, another aspect that we would like to highlight is the multidisciplinary teamwork. Some of you are teaching different subjects. Some of you are already, as I just mentioned, expert on the topic. So you have different types of priorities here. Some of you are coming directly from higher education institutions, and you are purely focusing on academic work. And here we also have some Ministry of Education associated teacher trainers. And for them, the work is a lot more practical instead of, research-driven or theoretical. So how do you navigate that as well, right? So for that, we also request your kind support and empathy and active engagement for each other, towards each other. And also our request to you is to embrace diversity. Know that everyone is coming here from a different background. The communication style might be different. Interaction style might be different. So please support one another. So with that, we want to do some team introduction and ice breaking. Allow me to very briefly check the breakout room situation. Then we will share the guidelines. And in the meantime, can I ask if anyone have any questions at all? Okay, so now let me share something interesting. Before that, the quick question. So as you will be working independently in a small team of 3 or 4, we want you to know each other. We want you to know each other's routine, right? So we want you to, when you go into the breakout room, share about, what does a regular working day look like for you? And in this context, please share where you are from, the workplace, whether it's a ministry or university or where you work, or if you work from home, if you're a consultant, for example, and in terms of also any additional insights that you want to share that you think will help your team member get to know you better. So it's totally up to you. But please make sure that you share about your work routine and your what a day at work look like for you. I'll give you an example. And then we also want to make sure that everyone in a team is comfortable because sometimes some of us are very good note takers. Some of us are very good at organizing ourselves. Some of us are very good at research or reading, peer reviewing. So please discuss in the context of research and the work that you'll be doing as part of this team to write the book chapter. What is your unique strength and what are the areas that you really don't like doing and what are the areas that you really love doing? So when you work in a team, then at least it will help each other, divide the role in a way that that everyone feels more comfortable with. So this is, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Kanban. Kanban is a Japanese project management method that we religiously follow at the education department at ASEF. So this is what it looks like for this week. Let me explain very quickly from left to right. So we have swimming pool. Swimming pool meaning anything that we want to achieve, but we don't have time to achieve, but we will get there at some point. And as you can see on the side, we have some very lovely emotional intelligence stuff here. Like when we work, do we feel appreciated, confident, encouraged? So every month we pick one positive emotion, one negative emotion to support each other. So I'm very grateful that, this team that we work with is very supportive, and we always make sure that we support one another to achieve our goals together. Then we have this to-do, meaning what we need to do. So all the orange post-its that you see, it's actually all related to this project and our school collaboration, because that's the ClassNet master color in the department. So anything that you see that have moved on to yay, it means that it's done. So why am I explaining this? I am trying to explain how the ClassNet team's day at ASEF look like. Rain or shine, we come to office in the morning, and then we will have 10 minutes, if not half an hour, meetings to just get through this board and see what are the things that we need to do. Where do we need each other's support? And then throughout the day, we will constantly go back to this board, like where I need to move things, where I am feeling blocked. So we love it. So in case you want to do that as well, you were welcome. And if you need any help to learn more about this method, we can help as well. But that's just a very quick example about how we work and how the ClassNet's day look like every day. And so with that, let me open the breakout rooms. I think everyone is here now. So, okay, we are almost at the end of this session. And if any of you have any questions at all about the program progress, guidelines, about your team, any concerns that you have, any remarks that you have, please feel free to share. Between now and next session, we will really focus on team building and a team. There might be a couple of people want to, either join newly who haven't done the sign up yet, or for any team related concern, we are here for you.
Could you share the email addresses of the teams?
Yes.
Because it was only 2 of us instead of 4, so I'd like just to contact the colleagues so that we can arrange something either in the session here next time or privately. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ian. So that's my next, what's next message. So what we are going to do, since you have asked, we will write an email connecting the team members, so the book chapter lead and the team members, and then we will also share the contact details only with the team. Because here at ASEF, privacy issues, we take it very seriously, and we don't share everyone's email address with everyone. So only for your team, we will share that contact details. And then with that, you can decide whether to share each other's phone numbers and or their WhatsApp, or what communication method that you would like to follow as a team. That we will leave that up to you. But the introduction email will go from us. So that's the next step. And also we will explain this in a summary email in our next post session update. Next question, please. Those of you who did not have their book chapter lead today, our sincere apologies. They had other engagement. They couldn't be here today, but at least hopefully you had an opportunity to meet the other team members. Any concerns at all? Because this is your time, and so that we are aware of, issues, then we can support you better, and we can explore how to support you better. Okay, I don't see anyone have any issues. Sorry, Angie? Oh, yes, please. You can speak up if you have a question.
Yes, I think it was a question before.
Okay.
the breakout rooms
Yes.
from
Okay.
Francisco. We would like a confirmation on the subject, because when there are teams merged, we have to be sure about the main subject. So
Yes.
if you could please, with the email addresses, confirm the main subject.
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
thank you very much. Thank you.
So on that, very briefly, most chapters are actually as it is. Only a few of them got merged. So we are going to write them separately because only they need to know that information. For the remaining that didn't have any change, the next goal is to work together in your team. And we will also, so during next week session, we will share a template with all the guidelines. That's when you will slowly also start to see how the whole book comes together, how different chapters are aligning together. We will discuss those. We will go by chapter. So with that, if you don't have any other questions, we will end the session here. And we want to just remind you that our next team building and team support session will take place on 19th of June. And in between this time, if you have any concern questions at all, please email us, and then we will get back to you very soon. So hopefully you, not all of you, but hopefully most of you had ice breaking and team introduction session today and got to know your team members better, and then already discussed some ways to move forward with your book chapter. We look forward to supporting you more in this process. So have a lovely day in Europe and a lovely evening, afternoon in Asia, depending on where you are. We will see you during next week's session. Take care, and then don't forget to write to us if you really have any concern at all. Thank you so much.